Hello everybody, welcome back. My name is Eric and today we have a Li Auto L9. And for me, I've been curious about why is this car and all of the Li models selling so well? If you don't know, they've been dominating the Chinese new energy vehicle or battery electric vehicle combined with extended range electric vehicle segment for the last few months. They've just been selling like hotcakes. You see them everywhere. And so I was like, maybe I should get my hands on one and check it out for a while and try to determine what it is that makes this car sell so well. So I've had the car for about 10 days now, and in today's video, I'm gonna give you a rundown of everything I like about it, a few things that, little nitpicks that I don't like about it. We're just gonna have a blast and take a look at the car and enjoy it. And so if we're just gonna be starting from the outside, I think that looks, of course, are subjective. You can't really say one way or the other if a car looks good or not because everybody's got their own taste. Now, I would say that this car is, I wouldn't call it boring, but it's pretty standard, pretty conventional car design. There's nothing really that stands out about it besides how big it is. This is massive. This is their flagship SUV. Except I would say that the one standout feature they have is their front headlight right here, which is a curved LED bar, light bar, which is pretty cool. And it looks really nice at night. You really spot them on the road. You can see them coming from a mile away. They're very unique. The only complaint I would have about that and the looks here is from this angle, it kind of looks like the car has a little bit of an underbite, which, whatever. It's not a big deal at all, obviously, but that's really my only complaint with regards to how the car looks on the outside. Overall, it's an SUV. It's kind of boxy. It's like a Durango, but it's fine. On the top up there, of course, we have the LiDAR box. So we do have autonomous driving, which works pretty damn well. We do have a gas tank on this side, and on this side, we do have the charging port. Fast charge and slow charge available. Go here to the back. We have another long light bar here. Pop that open. A little bit messy. I gotta clean this up a little bit. So you can put the back seats fully flat. However, the middle row does not go fully flat. So if you are using this car to camp or sleep in, it does have camp mode, but you do probably need to buy an accessory. Xiang does include on their app store a mattress accessory, air mattress, that you can use in the front two seats. The front two seats fold flat, and then the middle two seats also kind of foldish, flattish, and then you have an air mattress that goes on top. You can pump up using the car, which I would have liked to try, but I didn't get a chance. Maybe next time Li gives me a car, they actually can send me off with some accessories too, which I would like, test it out. But you do have a lot of space. It's a massive car. No space under there, except for right there. You can put your laptop, I guess. But there's plenty of space. Big 6-seater SUV. Next, let's talk about the interior. I find that this is where this car really shines. The biggest standout to me is just how much interior space there is. You will absolutely not lack for legroom or headroom. Even in the third row, there was more than enough space for an average sized person. Of course, I wouldn't want to sit back there for hours at a time, but for short trips you won't be uncomfortable no matter which row you sit in. It really is best in class. Speaking of comfort though, oh man, this is where the car is on a real other level, especially when it comes to the front 4 seats. Other manufacturers, including one that I often talk about on this channel in particular, they often mention the design for the interior is like a second living room. And while of course I do like what that other brand does with their minimal aesthetic, they don't necessarily always nail the comfort entirely. The front 4 seats in the L9, however, are super plush. They feel like you're riding in a Lazy Boy on wheels. Not only are they sink into your seat comfy, they also have the best massage seat that I've ever felt in a car, with strong pressure up my entire back, up to and between my shoulder blades. This being a Guangdong summer, the ventilated seats are a necessity, and they also provide a strong cooling sensation to help you survive the brutal heat. You've also got the refrigerator/warmer, which is another great touch. Again, especially during this awful heat wave. I was pounding these soda waters constantly as I drove around the countryside, and they stayed nice and cool the entire time. It might seem superfluous, but every car should have a fridge. Multiple wireless chargers in the front are also great to have, and they are more than powerful enough to actually charge your phone, which again has been a problem with some other brands I've tested. However, the 3 displays, 2 up front and 1 in the back, for me it's a little bit too much. but I know I'm in the minority there. I personally prefer just one central screen, as well as a heads-up display or a digital instrument cluster, of course. But with the way Xiang has it, with 3 monitors throughout the car, to me it's more like in every man's living room. If we're talking about living rooms, well, this isn't the 1950s anymore, where there's just one TV in the house and the whole family crowds around it. Nowadays, everybody wants their own device. You can, of course, sync all 3 screens together if you do want to pretend it is the 1950s, but to get with the modern times, you can also put 3 different pieces of content on, and the passengers can connect via Bluetooth to their display of choice. And I've made it this far without talking about how it drives. Obviously, that's important. Of course, this is not a sports car. It is a big, heavy car, but it accelerates from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 5.3 seconds, which is plenty for a car of this size. It also handles well enough, and the air suspension is tuned damn near to perfection. Suspension is soft but not too bouncy, and along with the super comfortable seats, it really makes you feel like you're riding on clouds. You will barely feel the road at all as you glide over bumps. Even when I was driving around tiny, narrow, windy mountain roads, the car handled it very well, pretty much as you'd expect from any modern SUV. I didn't push it too hard, but I found the ride to be much improved over the very heavy, somewhat sluggish feeling of the first Gen Li Auto, the Xiang One. The biggest downside, in my opinion, is just how long and how wide it is, which kind of detract from the enjoyment of driving for me personally. You kind of have to think about it a little bit more. And to me, I think it's a little bit too much, again, but I guess that's what the L7 is for. I'm hoping to get my hands on an L7 as well very soon so I can test that car out and see how it compares to the L9. The L7 is their biggest seller, and I'd say that the more moderate size as well as the more approachable price are probably the 2 reasons why. By the way, if you're interested, my review of the Li One is linked in the description if you'd like to compare and see just how much better this second generation Li Auto is than their first generation car. In my opinion, it is a marked improvement. Next, let's briefly talk about autonomous driving. Li Auto is unique because they offer free autonomous driving for life of the vehicle for as long as you own the car. As long as there's updates to the autonomous driving, you are going to get those updates for free, which is a great value and a great deal as long as things proceed as they are expected to, and as long as autonomous driving gets better and better. I will say that my experience with the autonomous driving wasn't bad. It was about as expected. I had a few problems with it, but once I got the toggles down, because there's a lot of different options that you can choose, which includes automatically overtaking people, it got better because when I first got the car, I didn't check the autonomous driving settings, and so the car would nag at me and tell me it wants to overtake, but because the settings weren't enabled, it would not overtake, and if I would indicate with the blinker myself, it would not overtake, and then if I moved the car physically myself, it would automatically cancel the autonomous driving. So of course you need to really pay attention to your settings and what you want it to do, but once you get it set up and it remembers it, probably if you have a driver profile and you have it connected with the app, then it will be a little bit better, or probably a lot better. Another thing we need to talk about is the app. Of course, it was just a loaner car. I didn't get a chance to link the Xiang app to the car, so I couldn't see all the different controls that you could do. I think it's very important for any modern car to have a good app, and I couldn't test it, so that's really unfortunate for me, and so I can't tell you if their app is good, bad, or average. I guess you have to buy the car if you want to find that out yourself. One feature that Li is lacking that competitors have is pet mode. So Easy here wouldn't be able to take the car out on her own and drive it and then relax in the car because there is no pet mode yet. But in the future, they do promise over the air updates that will include pet mode, so Easy can enjoy herself a little bit more. Let's go, Easy. One of the really cool and unique features about Li Automotive and the Li 7, Li 8, Li 9 is they now have this magical gesture and voice control combination. So it makes interacting with the car and with your voice assistant, your virtual assistant, a lot more natural, because instead of saying like, hey, virtual assistant, please open this window or that window, you can just say, do this, do that, right? So let's try it. 理想同学
下午好
打开那个
好的
and that window opens.
车窗正在下降
So what I said was open that, right? I didn't specify the window, I didn't say anything. Like most virtual assistants, right? It'll only really respond to where you are in the car. So like if I say personally right now, if I say 理想同学
在呢
打开我的窗户 and then she opens this one, right?
下降中注意安全
But I could say open or close to anything, anywhere in the car, and just use my voice and speak naturally, not like open my window, right? Like, so I'm going to close that. I'm going to tell this thing, say my Chinese is not very good. I'm going to tell this skylight to close because I don't know how to operate it. I don't know what to say. So I'm going to say 理想同学
Hi
关一下那个
小心一点哦，后遮阳帘正在关闭中。
So all you gotta do is point, speak naturally, and hopefully the whole thing will understand what you expect it to do, and it'll do it. So that's, I think, pretty cool and pretty unique feature of Xiang. Another thing about the gestures is with some of them, you don't even have to use your voice, and it's going to be kind of difficult for me to show you this, but I will try my best. So first we got to open this back row screen right here. So I will use gesture for this. So Xiang 同学
请讲。
打开这个。
没看清你指的哪里，给我个清晰点的手势，
打
再试试吧。
打开这个。Xiang 同学
来了。
打开这个。
没看清你指的哪里，给我个清晰点的手势。
Xiang 同学
在呢。
打开屏幕。
马上帮你点亮后窗娱乐屏。
All right, so gestures and voice don't always work. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. Anyway, we're going to use this back screen right here, and we're going to use only gestures, no voice. So basically, it has like a 3D mouse just using your hand. So if I just raise my hand up right here, now on this screen right here, I can select a different movie or different app, whatever the case may be, whatever I want to do. So I know you can't see it. I'm going to have to film separately here. But so if I just go like this, I can go through different options. I'm going to pick an app. I'm going to pick iQIYI, and to pick that, I just squeeze. That's like a mouse click. And then I'm going to pick a movie, squeeze that, and it started. So, oh yeah, so I make a fist, and now I can fast forward if I lean my hand this way. Or if I make a fist and go this way, I can rewind. And if I want to control the audio, the sound level, I make a fist and I go down. That turns it down. And I turn, oh, do it again. Come on, buddy. Do it up. And I go up. That turns it up. Pretty cool, right? Now, my biggest problem with these controls, I guess I got two problems with these controls. One, I think probably could be a little bit more accurate with time and better development, and you know, that's just part of the deal. But the only other thing is I can just touch it and it's a lot easier and faster, right? Like, unless you're like a little kid trying to control it, but I don't think a little kid would have the dexterity to do this, right? So I think it'd probably be easier just to use the screen like that. Another thing is, if you are trying to like close an app, I don't think the gesture, I think I'm doing it wrong because it never seems to work. You're supposed to just kind of flick up like this. It worked that time. So okay, let me try again. I'm gonna start a movie again. And I'm gonna flick up and try to get out of it. Let's try it. Oh, it's working every time now. When I was doing it yesterday and this morning, it wasn't working properly. So maybe it studies my own gestures and learns from me. I don't know. Probably not. Maybe I'm just getting better at it. So that is pretty cool. And if you have a whole bunch of people in the car, there's different sounds going on, different movies happening, or people doing their different thing with their different apps. You know, instead of everybody using the voice control, you can just use gestures, control different things. Maybe a more peaceful, more quiet, more joyful ride. So, pretty sweet. So I can't just lavish this car with praise the entire time. I do have some minor quibbles and nitpicks. And you might say there are really small complaints, and I probably agree with you, but you know, I want to be honest with you. So my biggest complaint is with the infotainment or the operating system. I'm not going to call it infotainment, sorry, the operating system here. So it's really fast, it's really, really great and fluid in that respect. But in the respect of like functionality, I find it to be a little bit lacking personally. So I'll give you some examples. This main screen here has widgets, which you can move around. You hold long press, you can move the widget. However, you can't delete a widget, and you can't add a widget. So right now, for example, I have two different music apps. You know, it's kind of like if you have Tidal and you have Spotify, I guess, or Spotify and Apple Music. You don't need both of them. Most people aren't going to be subscribed to both of them, I would guess. At least me personally, I wouldn't subscribe to two different music apps. So why am I not allowed to delete one of these? Or if I don't use any of them, which I don't, delete both of them. And instead, what I would like to do is add a widget. Like, for example, I would like to add massage seat. You know, there is a physical massage seating function button on the actual side of the seat, which is great, but I didn't figure that out for far too long. And which leads me to another problem with the operating system here is a lot of the things that you want to do if you are going to use the screen, they take far too many steps. So there's two ways to operate the massage function, for example, with the operating system, and both of them take the same amount of steps. First one is you go here to the climate control, which I would argue is another problem on its own. It's far too busy if you're driving the car. There's far too many things going on. Of course, you get used to it. You drive the car for a while, you start to learn where everything is and what everything does. But for me, this is too busy for the climate control section anyway. But I open that, that's one press. Second press, massage. Third press, start massage. And then I have to do a fourth press because I have to close this right here. 4 button presses to get the massage. Like I said, there's a physical button that I learned about that's on the side of the chair. So not really a huge deal, but same thing. There's a quick access menu, swipe down. Let's say I want to do a massage once again. One press, that's the second one already. Third press would turn it on. Fourth press would close it out. To me, that's far too much. I should be able to add a widget, customize it fully, put massage right here, right? Delete the ones I'm not using, put massage there. There also should be like a widget for customization of like, you know, how you personally want your car to be. Maybe every time I get in the car, I have a widget where I just press it one time and it turns on the ventilated seats and it turns on the air conditioning set to, you know, 18 degrees or something like that. There should be some options for that sort of thing for customizing your vehicle. As it stands right now, it's not, you can move it around, that's the only customization options you really have. Which is basically, I don't know, pointless. Another thing that I don't quite like about the operating system is the menus. You're not really going to be diving into the menus very often. Once you get the car, you set up how you like it. But when you first get the car, it's kind of overwhelming. You have menus and sub-menus and layers that you can scroll down. Like, this is not a Windows machine, not a mouse and keyboard. I don't think you should have like, you know, layered menus necessarily. But that's just me. And then the other thing about that is a lot of the stuff is not in the place that I would expect it to be. Like, for example, if I go into this car, let's say, if I go into the camera mode, and let's say I want to export a video, maybe something happened, I want to export it. Of course, you take out the USB stick to do that. But like, let's say I don't want the information about like how fast I was going, or if autopilot was on or anything like that. Like, a lot of cars these days, you can toggle that on and off, and you would think that that information for toggle would be here in the camera settings. However, it's not in there as far as I can tell. I don't think it's in there. You have transparent chassis, which is great. You have some other stuff, but you don't have any settings for like your camera controls or what it looks like when you export it. So anyway, the operating system isn't bad, and I believe it will get better with over-the-air updates. You know, the Li representative did tell me that you will be able to fully customize this main screen in the future. You will be able to delete apps and add widgets, that sort of thing. Currently, you can't do that. You also don't have English, which, again, we're only in China. There's probably not that many Li Xiang customers who are foreigners, but some of their competitors do have English, and also the Li One, their first car, did have an English operating system. So a little bit step back, but I think they are coming out with that again soon. But those are minor quibbles. I think it could be better. Fortunately for everybody using this car, probably most of the time you can just use your voice controls, and there are also physical buttons in different places. So you don't really need to interact with this all too much, especially while you're driving. You're not going to be digging in through all these different menus, I hope, while you're driving. I hope that this gave you a good overview of the Li 9 and a good insight into what kinds of things Li Auto is doing to not just be competitive, but to be really leading the way in some aspects of the new energy vehicle market here in China. My overall feeling of the car is that it's a lot more satisfying to drive than the previous generation car. It is really, honestly, genuinely one of the most comfortable cars I've ever been in. And I've spent a lot of time riding around in a Rolls Royce, so the fact that I can even mention this car in the same sentence in regards to comfort is shocking, even to me. After riding around in this car, I can fully understand why Li has been so successful with the Li 7, 8, and 9. Of course, it doesn't mean it's perfect. As you saw, I still have some quibbles. I hope that the software continues to improve, as I'm sure it will, thanks to over-the-air updates going forward. The other problem I have, it's probably my own problem more than anything, I know a lot of people would probably disagree, is that they still only have plug-in hybrid, aka extended range EV options. I would much prefer a fully electric vehicle. In China, there's no need for range anxiety. There is amazing electric vehicle infrastructure throughout the entire country. You've seen me take road trips in this country years ago, and it's only gotten better, only gotten more accessible, and there's no reason to feel range anxiety anywhere, and there's no reason to still be using gasoline. You know, it's especially because it's so much more expensive to fill your car up with gasoline. I went from about 25% tank to full tank. It cost me 600 RMB. That's like $80. You can fill up a 100 kilowatt hour battery pack on an electric car and only spend about 100 RMB or about $15. So not only that, but you still have to go to a gas station, which one of the greatest things about switching to an electric car is not going to a gas station. So then I guess, lucky for me, Li Auto has a number of models in development that will finally ditch the gas engine and will become fully electric. I'm waiting for the day when they start to reveal their fully electric lineup, and I would love to see their take on a station wagon, maybe a compact SUV or a coupe, or even a sedan, again fully electric. And when that time comes, that's when I personally really begin to sit up and take notice of Li. Not that I haven't already, because man, what they're doing with this car is actually really good. Again, I just wish it was fully electric. So that's it. I would say that overall, I'm very impressed with the Li 9. Like I said, much improved. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the car. Let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you want. Have a good night. Have a good day. Sweet dreams. Whatever. Doesn't matter. Wherever you are, just have a good life. Goodbye.